Okay, and I think we're on. Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the next live stream from the FPL family. My name is Lee, this is Sam, and this is episode number 36. We're on 36 already. It's absolutely flying by, guys. It's absolutely flying by. I've already seen a few of you that have joined the chat, so thank you for joining. A few of you are saying, oh, I'm in the late 40s, I'm in the early 50s, oh, I'm having a bad week. Guys, wait until you get to how I'm getting on, and you guys will be far more cheerful than you are right now, let me tell you. I've already banned the C word from this vlog. We are not talking about Christensen. That is the only and last time we will mention that guy's name.
How did Christian get on this week?
Shut up. I was so angry. I was literally fuming. We're in the car, weren't we? And it was looking like Chelsea were going to keep a clean sheet. And I'm thinking, well, Alonso's not done anything, so... The
best part of it was...
There's no best part of it. It was a nightmare.
The funniest part of it was how annoyed he was then amplified about 10 minutes later when he took Alonso off. Oh. That's it! Alonso's guaranteed a clean sheet. Christensen can't even stay on the pitch for 4 minutes. Ram.
The thing is, I felt so bad. Did I feel bad? I think I felt bad because Christensen went off with a head injury. And guys, I shouldn't even say it. My first thought was, he'd be alright for 3 minutes rather than get the guy off. He's got a head injury.
Have 3 minutes of treatment on the pitch,
didn't
you?
It's so bad. I thought, I was just like, can you just? I know he's got a really, a bad head injury, but no, stay on for 3 or 4 minutes.
Clue it a bit.
Terrible. It's an absolutely terrible thing to think. Poor guy's got a head injury. Of course he's got.
He's all dizzy.
Got to go off.
Dizzy and stumbling about. And you
100% got to go off, and I'm just like, no, 3 minutes. Oh, it was terrible, guys. It was terrible. Right, let's say hello to a few people.
Got worse today when Eriksen didn't play because he's ill.
We're not talking about that either. We're not talking about that. Oh, my God, we're not talking about that. Christian Eriksen, how can you be ill? There wasn't even a hint that he was going to be ill in the lead up to this game week. Oh, man. The blow is somewhat softened because Ali did naffle and so did Son, right? So from the Spurs midfielders, I'm kind of... I'm not happy about it because the guy that's coming off my bench is Ben Mee with 1, so I'm not exactly delighted about it. But it softens the blow somewhat that the Spurs midfielders, all of them, got nothing today, right? Right, before we crack on, let's have a chat to you guys. Who's here? So Mats is on. Hey, Mats, how you doing? Turned off the baby monitor? Yes, we have. Absolutely, that is off. Black Mirror and all the Netflix is off. Have you said that because we're a bit juddery, or if we're laggy, then let us know, guys. But I hope that we're in good shape. Yeah, I can't see the baby monitor on, so that's good. MU Fan TV is here. Hey, MU Fan, how are you doing? Joe Finley Barder, who's a name I've not heard before. So Joe, welcome to the stream. Spencer's here. Good evening, Spencer. How are you doing? Thanks for joining. Maria is here. Hey, Maria, how are you doing?
It's nice to have another
Felix here. Eric Lord, who's usually on. Thank you for joining again, guys. Chris Payne, El Stato from the FPL Twitter community. Thank you for joining, Chris. Lee, your place in Team Delph and safety must be at risk. I tell you what, guys, I'm surprised you haven't kicked me out yet. I'm happy to be there, to be honest.
Do you want me to swap with them?
Well, don't say that. I was going to say it's a Liverpool team. It's not. That's one of the other teams that I'm playing in on Twitter. But look,
you can do a trade if you like.
If the guy want to trade me out for you, I would not blame them in the slightest. I would not blame you in the slightest, Chris. This is what I want to hear. This is what I want to hear. Anwin, thank you for joining. Salah hat-trick incoming tomorrow, don't worry.
What's going to make me laugh?
Nothing would please me more, mate, I tell you.
Is if Salah blanks tomorrow.
You've got him as well, you can't want to play.
But of course I don't want him to blank, but to be fair, everyone's got him, so it actually doesn't matter if he blanks. The only reason it matters is because you've captained him. So if he blanks tomorrow, you are going to be fuming.
I'm going to be raging. I'm already raging, guys. In case you haven't realised, I am raging.
It's not been a fun weekend with this one, I tell you.
It's not.
It's been constant all weekend.
What was I worse on? Eriksen or Christensen?
No, you were worse on Christensen because you were thinking the points were in the bag. When I read out the Spurs team and you went, well, where's Eriksen? And I looked at the bench and I went, no, he's not playing. What? What's the matter with him? So I looked it up. Oh, he's ill. He's not been ill all week.
Leo's here. Thanks for joining, Leo. Eric Lord is here. I think we've said hello to Eric already. Richard's here. Thanks, Vinyl Richie, for joining once again. Luke's back. Hey, Luke. How you doing? And who else have we got here? So, Matsu said. Salah's here as well. Hey, Salah. How you doing? So we've got a lot of the usual. So thank you guys for joining. Frenzy002. Thanks for joining. Jack is here as well. Forgive me if I say your surname wrong, Jack, but Ukaya, I think is right. So Jack Ukaya, thanks for joining. A new name again to the stream, so thanks for joining. I would love Salah to blank, and I own him. Jack, come on, we're not having any of this Salah blanking. He is my only hope now He's my only hope, given that he's my captain. And I kind of wondered whether that was part of my reason for captaining him, actually, because I knew I'd be sitting here doing this vlog knowing I'd done rubbish again for another game week, knowing that at least I've got that captain in the bag. There's some hope for me to hold on to, albeit a very, very thin one.
That's sure, because at the moment you've got pretty much
At the minute, I've got absolutely no hope. B-Buzzer890, first time viewer. Thank you for joining, B-Buzzer. Yeah, absolutely a new name. So I hope you enjoy what you like and see. If you do, give us a like, share and subscribe. Thanks for joining. Key is here as well. Hey Key, how are you doing? React to Blues Clues Season 6. I don't know what that means. You might be on the wrong stream, Key, but if you're not, welcome. Zaid is here. Zaid Mahmood took Ericsson out with the little smiley emoji with the sunglasses. So
well, Lee wished he'd done that.
I wish I'd done that. And actually, had I done it, and I think I was talking about it on the last one, I would have taken him out for Maris and gone back to that bandwagon.
That's got to hurt then.
That's got to hurt a little bit. That's got to hurt a little bit. MU Fan TV is saying just copy Sam's team already. Well, trust me, I'm trying.
Actually, to be fair, I mean, I'm laughing at Lee, but I've not had that great a game week.
Right, let's get on with it. Let's get on with the game weeks. And you, to be fair, it's been
distinctly
okay.
average.
It's been okay.
All right, but it's been a bit average. Yeah, I'm a bit. So last week,
where are you? You're here.
Off the back of our vlog on whatever day it was. When did we go?
51. You're on 51.
Yeah, with 2 to go. Whatever.
Not terrible, right?
It's not terrible, but I mean, there's a few things in there that are a bit irritating. That Newcastle goal really annoyed me because Giltamendi clean sheet went. Pointless Newcastle goal. So last week I was talking, as you'll remember if you watched us, I was talking about getting Millie. I was going to do Loftus-Cheek to Millie.
Millie Jokovic rather than Milner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who, but somebody quite rightly on the chat said, Sam, you've just spoken for the last 20 minutes about how I don't know. Wasn't it? Was it Dom?
It's Dom on. Dom, you've talked Sam into this.
You were like, you've just spoken for 20 minutes about Ibe and how it could be a really good fantasy asset. Put your money where your mouth is, basically. And I came off and I thought, do you know what? I do this every week. I talk about somebody. So actually, maybe it is time that I got on the back of somebody that I thought would be, decent. So I did it. I did it very late at night in a panic moment when I got in. I was out on Friday night. I got in, was like, oh, Loftus-Cheek's supposed to be going down in value. Panic. Oh, I know I get Ibe. So I got Ibe.
On the back of what Dom was saying.
On the
basically.
back of, yeah.
You done a bit of research. You were feeling Ibe, to be fair. Yeah,
I was, yeah. And I still think, moving forward, apart from the next game they've got Chelsea, moving forward they've got some quite nice fixtures coming up. So I'm still pleased I did it. But it's just a bit irritating when Millie scored. So
Dom is trying to cover his backside here. Dom, he's saying I will come good in Feb.
Thanks, Dom.
He's saying stick with him.
So you do. I mean, I actually do agree with you. I think that he's got some nice fixtures in January. So I'm still pleased I did it. I was just a bit irritated on Saturday when. So
talk us through your team then. So Kane captain clearly is not a bad thing.
Kane captain's fine. Sterling with an assist, that's fine.
I don't think the bonus points are on here,
yes,
by the way, guys.
They are.
Okay.
So Kane got 2.
Okay.
Davis got 3.
Davis got 3. I thought Davis would be a good shout with.
You did say. As soon as Ericsson not playing, you said that, didn't you?
Set pieces for Davis.
Obviously, really pleased with Jones and Alonso with their clean sheets. That's nice. Foster got a save point, so that's always nice. Happy with my captain choice as usual.
Arnautovic scraping some returns. I think he was.
Fine. I mean, let's be honest.
We were expecting big things from him this game week, weren't we? But he just got an assist, so that's fair enough. He's ticked it over.
We were, but you can't have big games every week, can you? So at least he's got something. He's not blank. The one that out there's that's really irritated me. Well, there are 2. I'm fine with. Mendy losing his clean sheet was irritating.
Yes.
But that is what it is. The reason
I'm worried about Otamendi now because they've had about 3 games now,
that's the
3 or 4
third,
games
where non-clean sheet.
And all right, I think he got -1, didn't he, against Liverpool, or whatever, because he got booked or whatever. But generally speaking, he's been very, very good this season. So
he was on a run of
3 dodgy results now. Are you thinking about maybe a transfer out? Or
no,
what are you thinking?
No, because before that they kept 4 clean sheets in 5 games. So yeah, right, he's had 3 dodgy games the last couple, but. There's always the potential for him to score a goal.
Absolutely.
Even if he doesn't
he's got that goal threat, isn't he?
I'm not thinking about transferring out. It just irritates me when a club like, sorry, Newcastle fans, I don't mean to offend you in any which way here, but it annoys me when it's clearly obvious which team's going to win, and then somebody scores a stupid goal.
Well, you say that Newcastle had pockets of pockets of good play in that game. It wasn't all completely City, right? So you can't begrudge them the goal, I don't think.
Yeah, I do begrudge them the goal. It cost me 4 points. And the other one that annoyed me was Ali. But then, to be honest, I kept Ali for this game week. My intention I've always said, it was at the end of this game week that I'd lose Ali. And I
think a lot of people are in that boat, right?
As it's gone, I'm a bit frustrated on the back of the Spurs result today that I didn't do Ali to Mahrez, because that was going to be my sub as well.
Okay. Jones 3 bonus points again.
Really happy with Jones. Yeah.
This guy, and if you're not following us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter at FPL Family. I retweeted something. I think it was yesterday, so I might have to scroll back a little bit. If I can find it, I will. And it talks about all of his clearances and interceptions and his passes completion rate. And all right, some of them might be a bit sideways, but whatever it takes to get bonus points. When United get clean sheets, Jones normally gets bonus points. He gets a lot of CBIs, a lot of blocks and interceptions. And 3 bonus points again. Right? Can't argue with Jones as an option, I don't think.
So in terms of my team as a whole, I'm quite happy with them this week. Obviously, I've got Salah and Firmino to go. Frustrating that you've copied the Firmino thing, because he was always my differential with you. However, I will beat you this game week unless Salah goes on another run tomorrow. So
never mind beating me. If you're benchmarking against me, you're doing it wrong. You need to be benchmarking against the top 100k. And at the minute, your overall rank is looking very, very good at 46k.
Yeah, I've gone down 10k this week though.
Yeah, well, if you look at your game week rank, you've got 1.64. I don't think a few people have got either Salah or Firmino.
A lot of people, it's that Aguero hat trick that's done it.
Absolutely, and we'll come to that in a minute, because he's bang, back on the radar.
Without the Aguero hat trick, my game week rank would have been a lot better than it was.
Yeah, and actually this game week it felt like we were kind of going back in time a little bit, because you got the Aguero hat trick. Hazard did really well in the 4-0 demolition at Brighton. I think it was Brighton, wasn't it?
Brighton,
yeah. Brighton. And then you've got Vardy and Mahrez scoring a goal each. So all of a sudden, all these names are starting to come back and starting to disrupt the template, which for someone who's chasing like me is absolutely needed, right? I need some of these players to have a little bit of a punt on. And it's
You wait to hear about the people that he was talking about getting.
You wait to hear about the players I'm thinking about getting.
That's what I'm saying. The ones that he was on the car when he heard Eriksen wasn't playing today. Oh, I'm getting in this random people that he was going to get. And I was sitting there thinking, okay.
That's all right. So you're on 51 with a couple to play. Let's, just for the sake of the entertainment of all of you guys, let's have a look at how I'm getting on. So 34. It's really, really not very good. Some tales of woe. So there's the 2 yellow guys there. So Eriksen not playing. A real bummer. I'm, as a Spurs fan, we'll come to the game. I want to hear your views on that. I think Spurs lacked a little bit of creativity today by not having Eriksen, but we'll come to that later on. Christensen obviously sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, to be honest. That would have been another 5 points. Well, do you know what? It's not just 2 weeks in a row, isn't it? It's 4, because if you think about back to when I've had him for 4 weeks, and in those 4 weeks, Chelsea have had 4 clean sheets, and he's been ill, rested, played 57 minutes, played 58 minutes. It's just absolutely incredible bad luck for all of you guys that have got Christensen. And I'm not one to sit here normally and talk about bad luck. I don't like talking about bad luck, because there's an element of luck to this game. But if you pick the right players and you look at the stats and that, there is absolutely an element of skill to it. There's more than an element of skill to it. But that is just bad luck. If you've got Christensen in the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks, that is bad luck. Kenny was rubbish at home to West Brom.
I'm surprised you played him, to be honest.
Actually, I shouldn't say that, because I don't think Kenny actually had that bad a game, looking at some of the stuff I've read.
Okay.
But nevertheless, conceded the goal, so there it is. Clearly, I got Salah to play. Wilson, a bit of a flop, but I didn't get him in just for this game week, so we're going to wait and see. But yeah, so captain yet to play, so obviously didn't have Kane, obviously didn't have Aguero. That is bad news. So unless, as Ammanit was saying, something that pretty miraculous happens with Salah tomorrow, I'm looking at some pretty bad red arrows, to be honest, and I'm way down, back in sort of 794k.
I've never known you be down there.
Well, I'm just gonna indulge me for a minute, guys. Indulge me, because
we've been playing this game now for about, what did we say, 11 years or something?
Something like that. And I want to have a look at where I've been. I don't think I've been anywhere outside of the top. So this is my season history. So I've been playing for a long time, right? So since 07-08. And my worst season to date is 83k in 2010-11. Don't know what happened there.
We got married.
Is that what it was? Other things took preference. So
we did. We got married at the start of that season.
Look at that. 83k is my worst season so far, and I'm at 100k. This is terrible. What's going on? Yeah, so look, I mean, that's why I played a game. I think I'm a pretty good manager, and that's why we started these vlogs and what have you. You know, first season we decided to put ourselves out there as, you know, we know what we're doing.
No, you decided to put us out there.
Hey, now come on, you're in on this as well. Come on, you're in on this as well.
I've just gone along with it.
So all of a sudden, you know, ranking has dropped from, you know, I've never been outside top 100k. Here I am, 800k. This is really bad. It's a really, really bad season.
He's really unhappy about it as well. It's all I hear about at the moment.
It's not good at all. It's not good. Right, let's go into the game week then. So let's stop offending everybody's eyes with my team on here, and let's talk about the fixtures and what happened in this game week. So is there a particular game you want to start at, or where do you want to go?
Yeah, I think there were a couple actually that we should start with.
I'll tell you what we should do. We should have a look at Jamal's team. Should we not?
Yeah, all
just
right,
to see how Mr. Rice has got on, because...
For those of you that don't know about Jamal is in our league. He was, last week, 10th in the world.
So 62 this week for Jamal. Overall rank 18th, so that...
Dropped a little bit.
That may get updated once Kane gets his bonus points.
Kane's had his bonus points, it's done.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I keep forgetting that.
It's if you didn't have a Aguero this week.
It is, isn't it? It's the Aguero haves versus the have-nots, I think. But Hazard, obviously great. Davies, great. Lanzini now got a potentially a bit of a hamstring injury, so we'll talk about what you might do with Lanzini. But Jamal, if you're on, well done. That's another good game week, so 62.
I realised he was a Palace fan, he probably won't be on then.
No Liverpool players, by the way. So bench Clavan again. No Liverpool attacking players, which could haunt him tomorrow, but, you know, let's see.
Well, probably will, because is he done?
Yeah, he's done. So no Salah, no Firmino, no Mane, anybody like that. So interesting to see how that goes. So Jamal's still representing FPL family right up there in 18th in the world. Yeah, so slipped a little bit, but still going fantastically well. So well done, Jamal. So let's go to, I think
we should start with the heavy hitters of the game week.
Let's start with the headlines.
I think we should talk about Chelsea, really, because for me, this wasn't an unexpected result. Chelsea should be beating Brighton. What surprised me was the level of the victory.
Right.
I didn't expect them to win. The way that Chelsea have been playing of late, I wasn't expecting 4-0.
No, but they just hit them with a 1-2 punch, didn't they, in the first however many minutes? And Brighton just never recovered, did they? They just never recovered.
You know, it doesn't say much for Morata, though, does it? Suspended. They've not scored in ages, or had a good victory. He gets suspended, and suddenly they go on a 4-0 thrashing of Brighton.
And it's actually interesting because Batshuayi, who's obviously had his doubters at Stamford Bridge, not least his own manager, so clearly doesn't fancy him. He's thinking about bringing in, a Crouch or a Carroll or an Ashley Barnes, I think, has been even...
Crouch in a Chelsea shirt, blimey.
So it's all very, very odd. But Batshuayi was, he had Willie on one side and Hazard the other side. They were flicking it around and back heels and all sorts, right? First few minutes of that game, the confidence was really, really flowing. I thought they did very, very well, Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely.
And totally sucker punched them. The first 10 minutes, it was game over.
They killed it, didn't they?
Brighton just never recovered.
And I was surprised to see that from Chelsea, because it's not the Chelsea we've seen of late. So interesting, because I think suddenly that makes you think, right, well, if Chelsea are going to continue to play in that vein, then do I start looking at their assets again? Obviously, I've still got Alonso. He's not going to go anywhere because he keeps a clean sheet or he gets something in most games.
By the way, I'm taking some abuse on the live stream. Look at this. Thanks, Matt. So Leeds score with just a smiley face. I've got JCC saying, what did Lee get? You've missed it, Jay. You've missed it.
34,
You have to go back. You have to go back. So let's see what else you guys are saying. Dom J saying Chelsea were tired, being reinvigorated.
I think that's a valid point, perhaps, and I think they kind of went out there needing to do a job on Brighton, and they absolutely did it. And from a fantasy point of view, you've then got to start thinking about these assets. Now, what for me the interesting thing is, I wouldn't certainly be looking at Morata, but does it open up the door for people like Willian and Moses and should they be people that we look at from a fantasy point of view? Now, they've not been on my radar at all so far this season.
Willian's is an interesting one, right? Because you've got that perennial thing about, is he a rotation risk all the time? Because he often doesn't start or whatever. He's got to start starting, right? I mean, he and Hazard in the same team, and I've just seen Rich say it on the live chat, they don't often start together. When they do, there's chaos at either side of that front man. And as long as that front man's putting in a little bit of a shift, which I think has been Morata's issue over the last few game weeks, it's creating space for those two to do the damage, and it's always those two, Willian and Hazard. We all know about Hazard's pedigree. Willian, FPL option? What do you think?
Maybe. I think it's something to certainly watch. Now, I'm not sure what Chelsea's fixtures are like going
Let's have a quick
forward.
look.
I think they've got Man United in there, haven't they?
Yeah, so Chelsea's next 3 are really, really good. So they're home to Bournemouth, away at Watford, then home to West Brom, and then they've got United and City back to back. Of course, that game week 28 may not happen, may happen depending on what goes on in the Carabao Cup, but it could be a blank in that game week.
Sure.
But for the next 3, they look very, very good, Chelsea.
So for me, that makes that a really interesting contest, isn't it, as a fantasy owner, because you look at those 3 games, and in any other season, you would absolutely have Chelsea forward assets for those 3 fixtures. 100% you would.
Sorry. Jake Logan, thanks for joining, Jake. I think thanks for joining. He just said, Lee has a lower rank than my dad, who's not changed his team since game week 3. Brilliant.
Maybe that's what you
Thanks
should
for
do.
that, Jake. Yeah,
that
cheers.
could be your new strategy. You could get in that really random wildcard team that you're talking about and then don't touch it.
Oh, look, I've got to keep playing, haven't I? I've got to keep playing. But hey, look, I don't want to talk about my tattoo. I just thought it was a great comment.
So yeah, I think for me, it's certainly something that my original plan was Ali for Mahrez, but looking at those 3 fixtures, maybe actually I need to think about getting in a Chelsea asset. Now, who that would be, I'm not entirely sure, but it's certainly something to think about.
All right.
The other team that I think we really need to talk about is the Arsenal turnaround that happened in this game week.
So what was the crack with that? 4 goals in 22 minutes. Unbelievable stuff again, right?
And it was one of those things where we were out, we were at a birthday party, and we were checking our phone, weren't we? And it was like, oh, Arsenal scored. Oh, right, okay, yeah. Checked it again about 15 minutes later, and it was like, Arsenal got 4. Yeah. We were like...
If any of you guys on the live chat have got Monreal, I really want to know about that. I mean, they didn't get a clean sheet, but I think a goal and 2 assists.
Goal and 2 assists,
right? So, and then obviously
and
three bonus points. So that is an incredible performance from Monreal. So what are you thinking? Let's have a look at their fixtures to see if there's anything to shout about. Swansea and Everton, then it's a big game against you guys in the North London derby. Then potentially the game against City and then Brighton away. So the next couple don't look too bad, but that's a bit of a mixed bag for me from an Arsenal perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, I'm just never sure with Arsenal. I think if this Sanchez situation gets sorted, which it looks like it's going to, it seems to be coming to some sort of resolution now.
Yeah. Do you think that's a cloud over the club that's kind of gone?
I do. I think that there is an element of this kind of like, it's just been on and on and on and on for so long, this Sanchez thing, and it just sits there like a bad smell, to be honest.
Well, he sits there like a bad smell because his attitude has been bad, hasn't it, frankly?
I think so, and I think, but in terms of the club as a whole, even when he's like left out the squad and seems to be playing no part, that whole situation is still there, and the press is still talking about it.
Oh,
and
definitely, definitely.
It must be getting to the other players in that dressing room, and then this whole thing with Mkhitaryan and does he actually want to go to Arsenal or not, and that kind of backwards and forwards thing that's been going on, that affects the rest of the dressing room. It must do, reading all of this in the press. So for me, I think if Arsenal can close out that deal and it's done and it's sorted, and Mkhitaryan goes to Arsenal, he is a good fantasy asset.
So B-Buzzer is just saying that. So Mkhitaryan, he's saying Mkhitaryan will be a great option.
Yes,
there's other guys. So Ramsey Sinclair, thanks for joining, Ramsey. Mickey is very tempting. Yeah, I like the idea of Mickey at Arsenal. I was saying this before, whether it was on the vlog or on Twitter, I don't know. But I think he's an Arsenal sort of player. If you've got a manager that's a good man manager that will put his arm around him in the same way that Klopp did at Dortmund, and Klopp is a great man manager, right? And he really put his arm around him, and he put his arm around Gundogan and a few others. There was a clip on LFC TV where after the City game he gave Gundogan a massive hug. It was like a father and son thing. It was unbelievable. So you get the feel that Klopp really loves these players, and Mickey is one of those players. He needs that sort of. He needs that reassurance that he's a good player, and for all of them, and you can't argue with Mourinho's record, right? You cannot argue with what trophies he's won and his history.
But he's not a friendly manager.
But he's not a friend. Yeah, he's not a friendly guy. Once you're out of favour, you are out of favour, and you might as well leave. And I wonder whether Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal is a breath of fresh air, not just for Arsenal, because that cloud is lifted and they've got something as part of the Sanchez deal. It's not just 20-30 million coming in, because 20-30 million, frankly, that ain't going to get much. But instead, they've got Mkhitaryan, who is probably more than a 20-30 million player. Probably. I
just think, for me, I look at the Arsenal players. Now, Monreal, if you've got him, then that was a fantastic pick this game week, sure. But for me, he's not someone that's been on my radar. He's not someone that I would pick necessarily moving forward, because he's not the sort of player usually that's going to pop up with 2 assists and a goal.
No, yeah.
However, I look at the attacking Arsenal options, and up to now, the only one that I've ever even contemplated this so far this season has been Ozil. Now, he got an assist this game week, so potentially, but I think he's a player that's very much influenced by what's going on around him. Sanchez is his mate.
So can Ozil flourish with Mkhitaryan and potentially Aubameyang in there?
I think so. I think if you've got a team full of players who wants to be there, decent, and Mkhitaryan, let's not beat around the bush, decent player.
He's a very good player. Yeah, he's got to be, right. He's got the history suggests that when he's on form and he's got a manager who wants to play for, etc., and he's comfortable at a side, he's a class player.
Well, look at Mkhitaryan at Man United at the beginning of the season when Paul was playing. Started the season fantastic. Yeah. All right, it's fallen out of favour and it's not gone so well since then, but he started off really well. So for me, you give Ozil players like that around him who want to be at the club and play really hard for it. It's totally different to having Sanchez about, who's just lazily walking around or doesn't go to training or this, that and the other. So yes, I think that does make Ozil a bit more of an interesting asset. But for me, if that deal comes off, Mkhitaryan will be the one that I would get.
Okay, so Dan Archer's just posed a really good question though. So where does, and we're spending a lot of time talking about transfers here rather than the game week, so we'll get back to the game week in a sec, but it's important, right? Because all these players, all of us have got wild cards to spend, so there's a pretty good chance we're going to be looking at these players. Dan's asked a really good question. Where does Mickey fit though? He can't see where he fits, so, and I agree with that to a degree, because you bring in Mkhitaryan, who I think is best in that sort of number 10-y sort of position, probably behind Lacazette. I can't think that. No, he's not an out-and-out striker, so he's going to be playing behind Lacazette. That's kind of where Ozil plays. So I don't know how this is all going to fit, because Aubameyang is more of an out-and-out striker. So does he play instead of Lacazette, or does maybe Aubameyang go wide right? Or I don't think that's Arsenal's style. I think they prefer that sort of front three with one in behind. So it's a very good question from Dan, a really good question, because we're all sitting here going, oh, jump on Mickey straight away because he's a great player. Jump on Aubameyang straight away, but you've got to see how they set it.
I don't know about Aubameyang, but I think with Mkhitaryan, he's because he's got. I know it's not a long playing in the Premier League, but he started the Premier League really well at Man United this season, and then for whatever reason it's ended badly there. But he started this season really positively. He was a great fantasy asset. He was scoring points left, right, and centre. I owned him for 8 weeks at the beginning of the season, and he was fantastic. So that pedigree, that history, that ability to score and be good in the Premier League is there from him. He's got that Premier League background. Yeah,
and Amunit's saying Mkhitaryan on the left and Ozil was 10 up. I'm not sure about that, Amunit. I just think Mkhitaryan, and we saw it, like you say, beginning of the season, we saw it sitting behind that front man. That's where he's best. And, it's him or Ozil, right? You can't really have both of them.
Well, let's see.
Listen, we've got to see. We're going to move on from that because we've got a lot to talk about when we get to United and Sanchez as well. So why don't we do that next? Burnley 0, Manchester United 1. Scraped it a bit,
exactly as I said. Exactly
Yeah.
as I said. I said to you that Man United would win that game, but it would not be easy for them, and Burnley would make that very, very difficult, and they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did very well, Burnley, and
Martial scoring again. It seems to have hit a little bit of form at a time when potentially his place is under threat. So let's cover this then, because I'm massively chasing, right? I'm loads behind, and I've got the right money in the bank by about 0.2 to do Eriksen to Sanchez in a couple of weeks' time, because we've got the FA Cup coming up, I think. Is the FA Cup next weekend?
Yes, but then there's a game week in the middle of the week.
After the Cup?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a week into the FA Cup. So we've got 10 days between now and the next FPL game week. So by then, the Sanchez thing will be sorted out. It's probably going to be tomorrow, isn't it? The Mickey thing will be sorted out. Potentially the Aubameyang thing sorted out. So we've got between now and when the next game week is 10 days from now, Sanchez is going to be a United player. Now, I don't know what United's next couple are. Let's have a look. Right, so United, Spurs away, then Huddersfield, Newcastle. Okay, so it's actually mixed. But for that Huddersfield at home game, 26, I'm massively chasing. Is an Eriksen to Sanchez captain? Or is that? Am I crazy to think that?
I'd rather Sanchez not make his debut for Man U against us. But hey,
yeah, it's true. At Wembley though, what a big game for him to come up and do his business.
Or we could play him out the game.
Ex-Arsenal player coming to Wembley and beating Spurs. Oof. frightening.
Let's hope not.
So let's answer the question about where he fits then.
Who are we talking about? Sanchez?
So this is Sanchez. And where does he fit in that United team? And we covered this a little bit on the last vlog, so let's not go crazy on it. But I think we're agreed that he doesn't take Lukaku's spot. So
I don't think he can take Lukaku.
Is he a number 10 in behind and then upsets Lingard's minutes, or does he go left and replace Martial, who's bang on form right now, or does he go somewhere else? What do you think?
Well, we said in the last vlog that we didn't see him taking Lingard's place because Lingard's been bang on form, but the last couple of game weeks, Lingard, from a fantasy point of view anyway, has blanked. Not necessarily from a football point of view.
He has, but then I look at the fixtures in which Lingard did well in, and they were good fixtures. And then United have had a couple of tricky fixtures. Going away to Burnley.
Oh, it's hard game,
and people are going, "Oh, Lingard's blank. That's it. He's over. I'm getting rid of him. Get off the bandwagon." I know you're not saying that, but a lot of the community are saying that.
No, I don't see it that way. My thought process with this is probably that Jose, the way that he is, he won't take out players that are in real form. So Martial, I cannot see him losing his spot at the moment because
Martial stepped it up last few weeks. Actually.
He has. He's played very, very well. Scored a couple of goals.
Did he get the 3 bonus? Oh no, Jones got the 3 bonus, but he got the 2. Okay, yeah.
Lukaku, all right, he's not scored many goals of late, but got an assist again this game week. So he's starting to pick up points again in a way that he wasn't a few game weeks ago. Obviously, Sanchez is going to play. In terms of who loses out, I don't know. Or
does the guys are saying is it someone like a Mata loses out on the right?
Potentially, because I don't think that Mourinho likes Mata as much as he does the other players. Yeah. I think Mata is his least favourite in that midfield sort of.
He's got a bit of history there, isn't he, from his Chelsea days? For me,
and he's a bit older, Mata, isn't he? He's a bit older. True, has he actually got? I mean, you sort of compare him to people, totally different player, but you look at him against someone like Dembele at Spurs. When you get to that sort of age, you have to kind of be a bit more gentle with them, and it's getting 90 minutes every week potentially isn't the right thing. So maybe it is him that steps down.
And so does play, I think, Chile. A lot of the guys are saying that he plays right for Chile. So Lukaku with Lingard behind, Martial and Sanchez with Pogba then behind. It's
quite terrifying, really, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, I think it is if Sanchez can do the business. From an FPL perspective, are you having a look at Sanchez? What's your thoughts with him?
No, I'm not.
You're not at all.
I don't know how to read this whole Sanchez situation. Mkhitaryan, I can understand Mkhitaryan's wanting out of Man United. I still don't really understand the going to Arsenal thing, but I think it's probably because it only, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean...
Take your Spurs goggles off.
No, I don't mean it in a negative way like that. I just mean that there's been so much upset and unhappiness, and when your best player, because that's what Sanchez is their best player, wants to leave, I always struggle with somebody who wants to go there in a swap deal with him. I always find that a little bit kind of, why do you want to do that? Why don't you want to go somewhere else? But then I guess no one else has been in for Mkhitaryan, so what other option has he got? He sits on the bench at United, or he goes and plays every week for Arsenal. Well, I'd go and play every week for Arsenal. With Sanchez, I don't know. I mean, does he want to go to United? He wants out of Arsenal. He's made that very clear. But not 5 minutes ago, he wanted to go and play for City. So, for me, I think he can be a fantastic asset for Man United. Of that, there is no doubt. The man is a quality player.
I don't think you should question his desire to play for United. It's Manchester United. If United come calling,
he's a quality player.
You go, right?
But will he be one of those players that hits the ground running there? Like, is he going to turn up and then straight away start scoring the fantasy points? And that's what I don't know with him.
Well, listen, I really hope he does, because we're starting to see this formation, this template we've spoken about before. He could really shake that up. And for someone who's chasing like me, he could be a really good asset to bring in if you can afford the money and not have major surgery in the team, which at the minute I can do. So I'm absolutely looking at him. I do agree with some of the guys. So Joe's saying the price is too high. I totally agree. He's an expensive asset. But,
particularly when you have KDB or someone in the same bracket.
Yeah, sure. But this is Sanchez. Sanchez was the, I think he was high scoring last season, wasn't he? He was the top FPL asset last year. I think I've got to check that. But if he wasn't in the top, he was top 3. Sanchez. So a fit and firing and motivated Sanchez at Manchester United, I think it's got to be worth a look at any price. got to be worth a look. But anyway, listen.
Got to play Spurs first, though.
He's got to play Spurs first, absolutely. So get that game out of the way, and then he can start banging goals in. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
In fact, if he could be injured for that game, that'd be lovely.
Any more to say about Burnley versus Man United, or should we move on?
I think we should move on, and we should talk about City, because for me, that's the next big talking point of the game week. Aguero.
Okay. Right. So neither of us has got Aguero. By the way, baseline bonus points for Aguero this game week, 94. 94 BPS. So that's not only, I've scored a hat-trick, but that is, I'm involved, and, just a fantastic all-round game for Aguero. So what are your thoughts? Can you get him in without major surgery? Do you want him in? You've got some cracking fixtures coming up, which we'll just have a look at. I remember thinking they've got a pretty good run coming up. They're actually towards the bottom of the ticker, but West Brom at home next, Burnley away, Leicester at home, and then it gets much trickier with Arsenal and Chelsea. At which stage, the 28 could be a blank, as we know, with the Carabao Cup. Jesus will be back. There's a lot more to consider. But for those... Really? Yeah, so Jesus is not out for longer term. He's had a scan, he's out for a bit, but he's not out for long term. So West Brom at home, do you want to go into game week 25? Do you want to go into game week 25 without Aguero for West Brom at home? That's frightening. Or is it? Because does he just rotate him as Pep likes to do sometimes? Thoughts on Aguero?
I don't.
Can you get him in without transferring out Kane?
No.
Okay. And is transferring out Kane such a bad move right now?
Yeah.
You say that. But look at, so the first thing to say is that as of last night...
You're trying to break my heart talking about Kane.
Sorry, it's made you choke with the thought of getting rid of Kane.
Oh, it's going to make me cry.
As of last night, Kane to Aguero was the most popular transfer in the game.
Well, people are stupid.
Well, are they though? I mean, look at the Spurs fixtures. United, Liverpool, Arsenal. Well. United, Liverpool, Arsenal in the next three. Then Palace and Huddersfield, of course. But those next three for Spurs look very, very difficult. So,
look,
and the next three for City look absolutely winnable. So look at this. This is the little block to look at here. The next three.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get out Kane.
All right, okay. For me, I'm absolutely looking at that.
800.
100% looking at
You're
that.
800,000. I'm 47,000. You've got 34 points this game week. You can be quiet. I'm not getting Kane out. The Aguero thing really kind of. I don't know what to do about it. I could manage my team in a wild card situation, and therefore I could have Kane and Aguero. That is possible. It's doable. For me, the Aguero thing is it's so difficult to know what Pep is going to do because, did you say West Brom?
West Brom at home, yeah.
So he could easily think, well, we could beat West Brom without Aguero, and
he was thinking that this weekend against Newcastle.
And I'll give him a rest, and I'll play Sané up top, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, or he does this though, doesn't he? You don't expect it, and then when Pep gives a rest to a player,
it can happen.
Yes, he's got a hat trick this week, but I still go back to what I say every single week, which is. Yes, he's got a hat-trick now, but that doesn't mean he's going to score 4 next week, or 3 next week, or even 2, because there's
it's chasing points.
There's so many other players in that team that could be the goal scorers. This week, all right, we had assists from them, but Sané didn't score, KDB didn't score, and actually, you could argue that KDB should have got one of Aguero's goals. Sterling didn't score. So all of those people that didn't get goals this game week, it could easily be them next week rather than Aguero. So for me, no, I don't think I am going to get him. You can.
So Joe's on the live chat saying Kane is fixture proof. So he's 100% with you.
I totally agree
100% with you. Richard saying couldn't for the next 3 games and then trade back for the blank game week 28. So
I lose too much. Lose too much of value.
Okay. All right. Well, at this stage of the season, is team value that big a deal? I guess it is.
In terms of what's in my... I don't have any money in my bank to cover that.
Okay. All right, so if we're not going to do Kane to Aguero, looking at that block of fixtures as we just said, the 3 Spurs ones and then the 3 City ones, is an alley to Sané on the cards or an alley to KDB? Do you want to go down that sort of road instead of going all out on the Kane Aguero thing?
Maybe. The alley one is the position that is up for grabs, certainly. Ali will be going. That will be my transfer this game week.
He looks a bit out of sorts, doesn't he? As well as the fixtures, right?
So I think Joe is absolutely right. I think Kane is fixture proof. There is absolutely potential for Kane to score against anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, Kane can score against you. People like Ali, he's a really interesting figure for me because he also, we were talking during the game today, weren't we, about how part of Ali's thing is that he wants to be he wants to be the player. He wants to be he wants to be out there playing with the best in the world, doing the best. Now, it's also very possible that against Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Dele turns up and plays really well.
He hasn't turned up for a while, though,
but he
has
has. The last couple of game weeks, he has scored me points.
I wouldn't say he's turned up. He's got points.
He's got fancy points. Which is, okay. For me as a fantasy manager, that's what I'm asking for. But he will be going this week. I don't know who he'll be going to. Yes, Sané is a possibility. Certainly, he's somebody I'm looking at. I can't afford to do KDB, but Sané is somebody I'm looking at. But I'm also looking at people like Mahrez. I'm looking at
Mahrez is going to be a popular transfer, yeah, absolutely.
I'm keeping an eye on what happens with Mkhitaryan, as I've already said, because that interests me. Okay. I'm also looking at Chelsea.
Okay.
Having a Chelsea player in there.
So Michelle's with you. Michelle D is saying I'm with Sam. Kane stays at 13 million, so she's in. Let's have a look at the stats for that game. Then. So Aguero 3 clearly. Murphy with a decent goal for Newcastle, but it was a consolation in the end.
Irritating. Consolation goal.
And even the 3 Aguero goals, right? One was kind of very dubious in terms of it being off the top of his, flick of his hair.
Well, it
really was
that,
if
the commentator said if he'd had his hair cut that morning, it would have been a KDB goal.
Yeah,
and it's true, it would have.
Yeah, that's right. And KDB was sensational again, got the assist. The second goal, it's a penalty, which is absolutely, one of the reasons you buy Aguero. Was it a penalty for me? A bit soft, but let's go with it. And then the third goal was sensational work from Sané, and he's absolutely one I want to have a look at for next game week. So I'm looking at again those next 3 fixtures before the blank, because that game week 28 has got the potential to mix it up quite significantly with the blank going.
And this is my other issue is that with already having Otamendi and Sterling, do I want a third? Because I'm giving myself an issue.
So let's talk more about transfers when we do our vlog during the week.
Okay, can we travel back in time a little bit and talk about Vardy and Mahrez? Because I think we should go to Leicester next.
If you want to, okay.
Because I think in terms of fantasy points, that's where the next probably talking points are, really.
Okay, what do you want to say?
So I think Mahrez is potentially becoming one of those players that becomes essential again in your fantasy team. For the last few weeks, it's been constant. We've talked about him a lot over the last few weeks because he is out there now with the best of them in terms of the point scorings out of our midfielders, all midfield options. Okay,
I think it's good. I'm just looking at the BPS system in Vardy, who had an all right game. Obviously got the penalty, but I think that was one of only about 2 shots on target that he had, and he's down at 31. But then Mahrez is down on 26, below the likes of the goalkeeper and Maguire. So I don't know if Mahrez had an amazing game, but all right.
But
he's got the goal.
Does it matter if you have an amazing game? From a fantasy point of view, does it matter if you're scoring goals every week or getting assists every week? Does it actually matter?
And the Leicester fixtures, as we've said before, do look good. Everton away, Swansea home. Then it's the City game, which is obviously difficult. And then Stoke at home, Bournemouth at home. So 26, 28 and 29. Given that Stoke and Leicester game is going to go ahead on 28, there's no chance of that being a blank. Mahrez is absolutely one you want to have a look at. Absolutely.
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
what about Old Brighton as a cheap alternative to Mahrez? If you're looking to, want to keep those, you haven't got space for one, and maybe your Loftus-Cheek replacement is Old Brighton, maybe. Not that Old Brighton got anything this game week.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think at Leicester it does seem, to me, it seems as though you have Mahrez. Would I want All Brighton? No, I'd rather have Mahrez.
Okay, all right. And we shouldn't forget the Leicester defence as well. So the guys are quite rightly saying, and when it's on here talking about Chilwell at 4.3, who gets forward a nice amount for a 4.3 player.
I think there's him, there's Maguire. There's also got to be scope to be talking about Schmeichel, to be honest, in your goalkeeper position at the moment.
Maybe. 3 straight clean sheets, Joe's saying, for Leicester, which I think is absolutely spot on, Joe.
But BPS, all right, Vardy got the 2 this week, but Schmeichel and Maguire with the others. So there's definitely scope for Leicester defensive options there.
Another defeat for Watford this week, and we've just obviously
heard
the news.
In the sacking of the manager.
Heard the news that they've binned off Silva
and hired who?
They've got a guy called
Javier something, is it?
Javi Gracia, I think you say his name. He's ex Malaga and he's ex Ruben Kazan.
But he's not even in the country, is he? Was somebody saying he's flying in tonight? He's been hired. They've not even actually met him face to face.
Let's have a look if we can find out much about this guy. I think I've spelt his name correctly. Let's see.
There he is.
Here he is. So let's have a look. Watford have done like they didn't hang about, did they?
Well,
no sooner is the
I don't think Watford have covered themselves in glory here. I honestly don't. I think this whole situation, most people, nobody, when you part with a manager, it's never really on good terms, let's be honest. But they've just basically said, we've sacked him because Everton, we're not mentioning Everton, but another club, meaning Everton, have unsettled him and he's not been very good ever since.
They turned his head, apparently.
They've not said, thank you for your service. They've not said, we wish you luck in the future. They've just basically gone, on your bike, we're getting this guy, and hired him. I don't think it's very gracious from Everton, from Watford rather. I just don't think it's very, doesn't feel very nice.
Well, there's a few of the reporters on Twitter, so Guillaume Balaguer is saying, new manager of Watford, from Villarreal Academy to Watford via Greece, Osasuna, Malaga, Ruben Kazan. Meticulous, strong personality, technically savvy, deserves a chance. Speaks English and has been working on it.
What I will say is I think whoever gets silver next has got a really good manager.
Yeah, but now the bench. So he's set himself a benchmark, though, isn't he? He's Everton have come in for him and said, right, we want you. He's had his head tanned. That's affected his performances at Watford, as we're led to believe.
So
that's
Watford
what's happening.
say.
So Watford say. So he's going to want to go. No one at the sort of level from Everton below are going to want to go in for him, are they? Or they are, or they might do, and he's going to obviously turn them down. You'd think. But then, how many teams are there above Everton in the Premier League? And I don't mean in terms of position, but bigger clubs. I mean, Everton are a frigging huge club, so don't go into somewhere like that. You've got to be going to a, I don't know, maybe a Newcastle. I mean, they're a big club. They're not performing that well on the pitch right now, but there's a big club. I don't know, where does he go? Does he go back abroad?
Wenger could get fired, he'd go there.
Wenger, God dear, he'll never go. He will never go.
They'll carry him out there, bless him, in a box.
So we'll wait to see how Javi Gracia gets on at Watford.
Where's their first game? Where's he got to go first?
Oh, I don't know. Let's have a look.
Because at the moment, for me, from an FPL standpoint, I wouldn't touch any Watford players with the barge pole.
Stoke away, which is tough because Stoke are just picking up
and
with the new manager, right? And then home to Chelsea, and then away at West Ham. No, don't go near Watford at the minute, is my opinion.
It's not got the best starting points, has he, really?
No, but let's now go to Stoke then and start talking about those guys, because do we need to start thinking about their FPL assets again?
Well, for me, the answer
is... They've strung a couple of results together. Fixtures look amazing. Is it time to start thinking about Shaqiri and co again? Look at those fixtures. Watford, Bournemouth, Brighton, Leicester, Southampton. It's great, right?
It is, but then, I don't know, it's Stoke. I don't trust them. I know that they've got a new manager. I know that they've just been at Huddersfield.
They look all right, and actually the fullback that we mentioned on the last vlog, Bauer, he looked pretty good again, right? Not too much to dislike there, and I think he's coming in at the game at a reasonable price. Let's have a look at the Stoke squad. Bauer is in there at 4.5, so he's worth a look.
I mean, you've got the likes of Shaqiri, obviously. You've got the likes of Choupo-Moting. Even Joe Allen, I think you've got to throw in there with his...
Joe Allen? I can't have Joe Allen in my FPL team.
Well, you've got to throw him in there, because he is the one getting points at Stoke at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Would I actually want to own any of them?
I'm not sure you do.
So I guess maybe if you've got Loftus-Cheek, who has got this unexpected return date now, and you want a change of outlet from Palace.
Shaqiri's the only one.
Then the fixtures, like you say, at Stoke are decent. So maybe you do take a punt on one of them. Maybe you do.
Shaqiri's the only one, I think, and that's quite a significant upgrade from RLC. That's $1.5 million. You could find 0.9, I think, to get to Choupo-Moting.
What's Joe Allen?
Joe Allen's 5.1, so he could cover your Loftus-Cheek, but I don't know. Joe Allen will maybe get the odd point there, but Shaqiri's the one for me to have a look at. I mean, I think he got an assist at the weekend. If you're going to look anywhere at Shaqiri, but I'm with you. I can't really
I just don't feel I trust really Stoke. They've got lovely fixtures, but lovely fixtures doesn't mean they're going to score goals.
No, absolutely. All right, let's talk about West Ham and Bournemouth then. Much to talk about in that game. Arnautovic squeaking in assists.
It doesn't matter. He's got an assist out of the game, 5 points again. Yeah. The man does tick it over every week. I think he's a decent asset, and I think moving forward with Lanzini getting injured, Arnautovic is the man in that midfield.
And the other thing to say, obviously, is that Lanzini looks as if he's picked up a bit of a hamstring injury.
That's what I just said.
Oh, sorry, that's because I was reading this over here. I
just said, with Lanzini being injured, and Arnautovic is going to be the main man in that midfield, and then you...
I was just reading what it was saying on the screen.
This is what our marriage is like. I just talk and he doesn't listen.
So Lanzini is obviously out for a bit.
Did you know Lanzini's injured?
Lanzini's injured.
Oh, he's
Did you know
injured.
that? Yeah. Did you hear it?
I heard.
Lanzini's injured.
He's injured.
So he's out. He's out for a bit. So if you've got him, I think you obviously keep an eye out on the news. But I suspect that hamstring is not going to heal overnight.
No,
we've got 10 days until the next game week, right? So keep an eye on it.
What I found interesting was Chicharito starting. I thought he was up for sale.
Well, yeah, they've basically said they want him to go.
I don't want you, leave. And now he's played him.
Yeah.
And he scored.
But Carroll's also unsettled, and
He's injured as well, isn't he?
yes, and he's injured. You're right, for a month or so. So maybe it's the only option they have. I don't know. I mean, they could put Arnie back through the middle, I suppose. But listen, Chicharito's as good as anybody. And on the BPS system, he got 28, so he was the highest scoring player from a BPS perspective in the game.
When you think that Aguero had 94, though.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. So I think there's not. There ain't a lot to talk about in that West Ham game, other than, I don't know if you were aware, but Lanzini got a hamstring injury.
So I think what we're saying is stick with Arnautovic, but get rid of Lanzini, because if you didn't know, Lanzini's injured. Moving on.
Did we talk about Everton and West Brom?
We've got to go to Everton next.
I was going to say, because there's some interesting stuff going on in that game.
I think what we should start with is that Walcott made his debut and got an assist.
Yeah, happy days. Happy days. So if you're on Walcott, I think he got booked as well, by the way, but if you're on Walcott, nice to get off to a decent start with an assist.
I think so.
I think if you bought him in, you're happier than if you bought in Tosin. I don't think, and I read this somewhere, I think it might have been on Fantasy Football Scout, that Tosin did not have a shot at all on goal.
In that game?
And did not have a touch in the box either. So for me, what does that say? For me, that tells you everything you need to know about his performance in that game, in terms of he's not in and around the box, he's not poaching, they're not supplying for him, he's coming deep, he's new, he's trying to impress, he's trying to get hold of the ball and make things happen. It's not really what they bought him for. They bought the Walcotts and the Sigurdssons and the other people to do that. They want him in the box scoring goals, but he didn't have a touch in the box. So maybe Tosin has just got to get a feel for that, working in that team, how it's going to work together. They're going to, I mean, look,
when Allardyce at the moment.
And when Allardyce came in, they looked like they might be going down, right?
Yeah.
So the fact he's come in, got them to mid-table, he's got half a season now to just experiment with these new players, bed them in, get a good pre-season behind them, and I obviously expect him to have a good year next year. But for right now, it doesn't feel as if it's massively slick there at the minute. But he'll get it right.
The other thing I think is, it doesn't so much matter from a fantasy point of view, but obviously the James McCarthy injury is quite damaging to Everton. And it will affect the way that they play moving forward and who's playing where and that sort of thing.
Sure.
So from that point of view, I think with Everton, it's just a case of letting them bed in, like you say, over the course of the transfer window so far. They've got Walcott, they've also got Tosin. So it's letting these players learn how to play together. But from a fantasy point of view, the fact that Walcott has got off to not a scoring, but a point scoring debut from a fantasy point of view can only be a good thing moving forward. And I do think he's definitely one that we should keep an eye on.
Definitely, yeah. And a shout out to McCarthy in that game, because that was a really, really nasty looking injury, wasn't it, that he picked up. It was really, really bad. And Rondon, poor guy, was in tears, wasn't he, on the pitch, because I think he went to have a shot and McCarthy put his foot in the way and he kind of shot, hit his leg rather than the ball, and it did look pretty bad.
Those pictures I wish I'd never looked.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like he's going to be back again this season. However, what I will say about Rondon, and I picked up this stat the other day, maybe reading something yesterday, he had the most shots from any player in a game week this Saturday. On Saturday.
Well, that's because he's a legend.
Well, I don't know if you'd put him in legend status just yet, Salomon
Rondon,
but
he's put Salomon Rondon in legend status, and actually, I think from that stat alone, we can claim victory this game week.
Did he get anything? He's not even on the BPS page, to be honest.
Well, no, because he was so upset, bless him, and I did think it was nice of Allardyce to come out and say, it wasn't Rondon's fault, and that he shouldn't feel guilty or anything like that. Because apparently he did go and apologise, didn't he? And it was just a freak accident. Poor old Rondon.
Oh, by the way, so Spencer is saying that Chicharito didn't start; he came on for Lanzini.
Oh, okay.
Which makes some sense.
That makes sense.
That makes some sense. Thanks, Spencer.
Thank you for that. That makes sense.
I'm guessing he started with an Arnautovic up front, and then
I was confused.
had to mix it up.
I was thinking, I don't understand this, because why is he saying that he wants to sell him and then playing him?
Yeah,
weird.
Absolutely. All right, so I think that's all the games covered.
No, we've not covered Spurs.
Oh, have we not covered Spurs? Go on then. Talk about them briefly.
I don't really want to.
Bit out of sorts today. Missed that dynamism from Eriksen in midfield.
I think there were two issues today. I think we really missed the leadership that Lloris gives from the back. I thought Vorm actually had a good game, made some good saves. So there's nothing to do with goalkeeping. I just think we miss his leadership.
The goal was unlucky as well from Sanchez, right? It was very unlucky.
It was. So I do think that was an issue today. I think Eriksen was a massive loss. Loss.
Yeah, always is.
Because there was just something. There was a spark missing between Kane and the midfield, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, Ali just is not the player that he was last season, or even the player that he was at the beginning of this season. He's just not in that right.
But I think Ali gives you threat, but doesn't give you creativity as much.
No, he doesn't.
It's Eriksen's
not in the same way.
He's in the ICT. He's the C, isn't he? In there, he's really, really creative.
And
actually, the guys on here are quite right. So Dom is saying Sissoko not in the same class. Joe's saying Sissoko's the issue. What do you think? Do you think that, Eriksen didn't play, he's brought Sissoko in. Even in today's market, I'm amazed that, you paid 30 million for someone like Sissoko. He just looks
should never have.
He just looks so off it, doesn't he?
I'm not a Sissoko fan. I never have been a
Joe,
Sissoko fan.
literally just gets in the way. You guys are on form tonight, I like this.
It's true, really. I'm not a Sissoko fan. I do not like Spurs teams that Sissoko plays in. He is basically a handicap to the team. It's like playing with 10 men most of the time when he's on the pitch.
I'm not going to read that out, Ammonette, because Sam is going to get very upset about that.
What's he said?
Spurs heading to Europa League and came to Madrid.
That's
not very nice.
I don't like you anymore.
I
normally like you. I normally like it when you're on the chat, but tonight, that's it. You and me are falling out.
Spurs heading to Europa League. So listen,
right. Hang on. I think this is all very unnecessary and very uncalled for.
No. So I'm just going to point out what's happening in the next few game weeks. Right?
Here we go with his. By the time we play you in 3 game weeks' time, you could be 11 points behind us. No.
Don't.
Right. By the time we play you, how many goals did we beat you by earlier on in the season?
Yeah. So if I could just make the point that so we've got to beat Swansea, and you hope that we do. We've got to play Huddersfield, I think, next game week. I think you've got to play United, so somebody's got to drop points there.
United.
And then I think it's the Liverpool Spurs game, and then it's the blank, and so it's all a lot of top teams are starting to play each other. But Spurs' next 2 fixtures, United and then Liverpool. They are 2 very difficult fixtures. So and when it's talking about you being Europa League, I don't think that for a second. I think you will get top 4. But next few game weeks could be really telling in terms of how the rest of the Premier League shapes out for the rest of the season, in my opinion. But look, we've got to beat Swansea. We've got to beat Huddersfield.
He's been winding me up since the game finished about this. Been banging on about how many points we could be behind them and all of this malarkey. I think for me, the key issue today was missing Eriksen, and I think we really missed that spark from him. I totally agree with everything everyone said about Sissoko. He isn't the player that we need. For all of the good things that Spurs have been over the last 3 seasons, and there have been some fantastic signings and just some fantastic development of the squad, what we really miss is a decent backup option when the likes of Eriksen and Ali aren't fit, because at the back we have that now with Aurier, Trippier, Davis, all of those players. Even can I put Rose in there maybe?
Yeah.
But all of those players, there's a decent backup for all of them, apart from perhaps Toby, who we've really struggled with missing him. But when Eriksen doesn't play and you're looking to the likes of Sissoko, for me that's a huge problem.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Jack, and I didn't realise Jack before, but I saw you just say on the chat earlier that's FPL Jack from Twitter, who we know very well. So welcome, Jack. Thanks for joining. He's saying, Lee, if you think Tottenham will get top 4, and I assume you think Liverpool will get top 4, therefore do you think Chelsea will miss out? So it's interesting, Jack, isn't it? Because we are coming into, I think, a period of about 4 or 5 weeks that's going to shape the rest of the season, as I said before, and let's finish up on this. I'm kind of really intrigued to see where we are 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, a month from now, let's say. And even then, the Champions League kicks back in, so that'll mix things up.
Which we're going to win.
Let's be realistic.
We'll beat Juventus.
I think you could do all right against Juve, yeah. But so that's going to come in and change things. We're going to get double game weeks because of the FA Cup and replays there. You're bound to get that sort of thing. So to answer your question, Jack, I think Chelsea have got as much chance as any, and this is very diplomatic way of putting it. I think they've got as much chance as everybody else. I think that one of the challenges I'm looking at now in the transfer window is I'm thinking, right, okay, so who's strengthening and who's stronger and who's weaker at the end of January? And at the minute, it looks as if Arsenal are going to be stronger because Sanchez is going to go, who hasn't really had his head in the game, and it looks like they're going to get Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, right? So Arsenal will be stronger. So I expect Arsenal actually to start coming back into the mix. They're not even out of the mix, but they'll start, threatening that top four again. I look at Liverpool, and I think, absolutely it's a massive loss to lose Coutinho. But from what the stats say and from what we've seen so far in the City game, and I appreciate it's just one game, so could be sitting here 24 hours from now saying something different. But getting Van Dijk is clearly going to strengthen us. Chelsea look to be getting reinforcements. Whether they're the right reinforcements or not, we don't know. Some of the names they're being linked with are interesting. And United are clearly going to be stronger with Sanchez and that. And City, they don't even need to improve, right? They are head and shoulders above everybody else. They're going to win the league. So, and then I look at Spurs and I think, well, Spurs aren't really in the mix for anybody
Malcolm.
right now. So this Malcolm fella could come, yeah. So
Malcolm. But he's not coming. He's not going to come. If we sign him, he's staying on loan.
Okay, so it doesn't look as if Spurs are going to strengthen. It looks as if Poch is happy with what he's got. So it's up for grabs, Jack. It's absolutely up for grabs. And for me, it's very, very hard to call. I would
agree with that.
Very hard to call. I think if United get Sanchez, they're going to be pretty good. I think they're going to be, going forward, that's going to energise them. My key concern, though, with United, and this is getting really off of FPL, guys, so we're going to wrap this up any sec. But my challenge with United is that he's coming in on, I think I've seen the number at something like 400 grand a week or something bonkers for Sanchez. So straight away, Pogba's going to be upset about that because he's only on 200 grand a week. Only on 200
grand a week.
But I can see this happening, guys. Right? Tell me what you think.
That's what does happen, and that's why you have a wage structure, isn't it? So that you don't annoy the players that you've already got.
But he's just the start, right? He's just the start. There'll be plenty of players that'll be like, well, if Sanchez is 400, well, I'm 180, or I'm 250, or I'm this, or I'm that. So for me, that it's interesting to see what happens with Mourinho between now and the end of the season. It could go amazingly well for him. Sanchez come in, bang a load of goals. He could have a bit of a challenge in the dressing room potentially. Let's see.
I'm really looking forward to the game where Conte and Mourinho play each other and have a little fight on the pitch.
Definitely no handshakes there.
Nope.
Definitely no handshakes.
There's definitely no bottle of red wine at the end of the game either. Definitely not. I cannot wait for that game.
Definitely not. Right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you as ever for joining us.
So when will we be back? Will it be next Sunday at the end of the FA Cup fixtures?
Yeah, because we haven't got.
Ready to preview the game week after.
Yeah, so we probably won't have one during the week this week, will we? Because it's FA Cup, and then we've got is it Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's the 30th and the 31st, or whenever that is.
The 30th and the 31st.
Does that sound right? The 31st definitely, but is it? Does that? I think that's right. Let me just double check this.
Yeah, Tuesday the 30th, we've got some games.
And then the 31st.
And then Wednesday the 31st, there's some games. So I'm actually wondering whether a Monday night might be the right thing to do, or maybe
Monday night, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. So
I think it's
this
Sunday.
time next week.
We'll come back next Sunday.
This time next week, let's preview game week 25. Yeah, and we'll look at those fixtures. Let's just have a very, very, very quick look at these.
Well, there's a key one: Spurs and United.
Oh, what a game! What a game! Points for City, FPL points there in that game. That's an interesting one. Everton versus Leicester. That's a very interesting one. Points for Chelsea. Chelsea versus Bournemouth, potentially, as long as Chelsea don't have another off game. The attack of the game where there's two new managers, Stoke v Watford, interesting.
Should be points for Arsenal as well at Swansea.
And actually, MUTV fan, absolutely right. The next game is a day to transfer deadline. So on that Wednesday, I guess, is transfer deadline day, right?
And
on the 31st.
We did go live during deadline day last time, didn't we?
We did, and that's why. Maybe that Monday might be quite.
Well, no, because the transfer deadline day is the Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll do it on the Sunday then. But by then, you would expect. And I think this happened last year.
Nothing's going to happen when the games are being played.
No. So you'd expect by Tuesday the 30th, most of the transfer activity.
Should have thought so.
Most of the transfer activity done, I think. All right.
And there might be some for the clubs that aren't playing on Wednesday. The clubs that play on Tuesday, I suppose, might.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. As ever, here is our Twitter.
Is this?
I don't know. This is
some baby playing with her.
That was looks like Nymphria, who was.
Can we ever see this, or are they just...
Yeah, the guys can see this. So, those of you that... there's two fantastic accounts on screen, right, guys? So, if you are part of the FPL community on Twitter, definitely follow the guys who got the assist, who we talk about very regularly on this vlog. But also, go ahead and follow Nymphria TV. She is a fellow vlogger as well, so she's got her own channel. Go and check her out and hit that subscribe button when you see her too. I haven't got a clue what she's talking about here. About to get interesting with Sanchez and Mickey as possible options.
Oh, she's talking about trying to get them in the right places, fitting them in, where do they fit? How do they fit?
Interesting gif though, right? Interesting gif.
I was just like, why is there a random baby?
So guys, if you're not following us on Twitter, please do. So at FPL Family on Twitter, at FPL Family on Instagram.
And I went
as well.
over 300 subs
over 300.
After
Awesome.
last week. So
Excellent,
follow
excellent.
us.
So we will see you next Sunday when there will be so much to talk about transfer-wise, because the Sanchez deal will be done, Mickey will be done, Aubameyang might be done, who knows?
I better get a new notebook.
And then we've got the fixtures to look forward to, so it could be a bit of a bumper episode next Sunday. Let's see. Until then, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button. Remember to subscribe. I'm going to go on Twitter right now and say thank you for joining us. As soon as you see that, hit that retweet button, because there'll be a link to this, and the guys that haven't been joining us on the live stream can watch the replay. So hit that like button, share and subscribe, and we will see you next Sunday. Good night, guys. Cheers.
Have a great week, everyone. Bye.